Ooh, sorry about that late start, guys. I was having a lot of issues setting up my camera. It wasn't turning on, so I got a bit scared. I'm out of breath. I was running around looking for a new cord. Anyways, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Open Mat Show. This is episode 12, actually, of my little show stream series thing I'm doing here. Um, it's a little crazy. Time flies, but anyways, I'm your host as always, Matt, and today we got a pretty good show for you. Good amount of things to cover. First off, we're going to be covering the results of UFC Seattle last weekend, which I would say, without a shadow of a doubt, the best UFC card of 2026, at least up until now, or thus far, I should say. We're going to be covering Adesanya, Israel Adesanya. Where does he go from here? What is this? What does this mean for the UFC with a guy like Adesanya losing to a guy like Pyfer in the way he did? We're going to be talking about the upcoming pretty shitty card. Seems like an April Fool's joke. Renato Moicano versus Chris Duncan. We're gonna be talking about that and we're gonna be discussing whether if that's truly one of the worst main events of all time. I see a lot of people online saying that it is, and it might be. It might be. We'll be talking about that. Another thing in the news, weirdly enough, MoistCritikal has stepped into the MMA game. Pretty big YouTuber calling out Dana White. That got a lot of traction this week. We're gonna be going over that little video he did, and yeah, good amount of things to start with. I'm kind of losing my breath here still. I should have brought in my water, but anyways, let's go ahead and start. I want to start with going over the results of UFC Seattle last weekend. It was a very good card. That goes without saying. If you watched it, which I'm sure you did, if you're here, then you know just how good this fucking card was. And dare I say, much needed. Is very, very, very much needed. Up until this point, the general consensus was that UFC hasn't been delivering. There was a lot of hype for this White House card, and yes, the card itself is good in my opinion. But the truth is that all the events up to this point haven't really been hitting the mark. It hasn't been satisfying us as MMA fans. Um, Even though we had pretty big names like a Gaethje, a Paddy Pimblett, and we had it going the way we wanted. We had Pimblett losing in a pretty tough fashion. It just hasn't been. It's just been leaving a lot to be desired, right? So the fact that this card kind of turned out in the way it did, it was just a perfect refresher that I would say all the fans needed, that the UFC needed. Um, and it really couldn't have come at a better time. Like I said, the general consensus going into this was the UFC has not been delivering. It's been kind of in a flop era. This Paramount Plus era hasn't really lived up to the hype. But UFC Seattle, that changed a lot of minds, and that reminded me, and I'm sure a lot of you, as to why we really like this sport. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into why exactly I'm glazing the card this much. We'll work our way down from the bottom of the main card up. We'll start with T-Rex, Terrence McKinney versus Kyle Nelson. Pretty good finish for T-Rex, hometown guy, home state guy. Whenever I say hometown, I mean like home state. Close enough, right? He won via first round KO, TKO, despite saying in interviews it was going to be a lot more calm, measured, things like that. But I'm gonna be honest, I knew that was bullshit. I knew he was going to come out the way he normally does. Even if he meant it at the time, we all know how he fights, right? He could say this and that, but we know what he's going to do when he gets in there. And I said it in the last video, guys. I knew he was going to win this one. I know he's like quote unquote 50-50, but he has a clear pattern. When Terrence McKinney loses, he wins his next two. And then he loses and he'll win his next two. So 2 wins for every 1 loss. He followed that. He continued that pattern last Saturday. He was coming off of a loss, and he ended up winning this one. And I knew he would win that because, like I said, he has a pattern. I know that's a bit schizo, but it was a real good fight. He had a good pop, and it's always nice to see T-Rex win, in my opinion. I know sometimes he's hated on the internet, sometimes he's not. But I'm a fan of him. He always puts out entertaining fights, so it's hard to shit on him, at least in my opinion. He'll always be up there in a highly respected atmosphere for me. just because of how he fights. Same with Michael Chandler. I kind of have him in that uh, same circle as Michael Chandler for the most part. Real entertaining fighter, regardless of what you think of him. He'll always be up there for me. We're gonna move on to what I would say was a coming out party, pretty much. A little crazy to say. We had Mansour Abdul Malik, who was the up and comer coming into this. He was supposed to be the guy, kind of building further building his name off of Yusri Belguri. But man, you would not be able to tell that just by watching that fight. Yusri beat the shit out of Mansour. It was pretty bad. I couldn't even believe it. Like I was just in awe. His takedown defense looked very, very good. Very good grappling. He even left DC like speechless. And DC tends to be very critical of fighters' grapplings. I mean, that's what he's there for, right? That's a specialty. So to see DC kind of get stunned at the grappling capability, and I know this was just against Mansour. It's not like Yusri was fucking fighting Hamzat Chimaev or some shit. But still, being a glory kickboxer, kind of coming from that same background and same team as Alex Pereira, actually, yeah, same team. It kind of makes you wonder. It made me wonder, especially with all the comments people saying this is Pereira 2.0. Is how good is Pereira's grappling? I know we're all saying, oh, Hamzat, which is ragdoll Pereira, and regardless, that doesn't matter. We don't want to see the fight anyways. Now I'm not so sure. And again, I know this was just against Mansour, this wasn't Pereira. But Glover's done a really good job of training these guys up. And I've always said that. That people severely underrate Pereira's grappling when he has a massive thing in his favor. And that is a former champion / grappling coach that is his size, that has experience with the guys currently in his division. Maybe not so much anymore, but he did, at least with Yuri, right? So I always knew Pereira's grappling wasn't going to be shit. I knew it wasn't as black and white as people made it seem. But if he was able to get this Yusri guy to the level he did already, just imagine how good Pereira's grappling could be, because that's clearly his biggest weakness. His striking hasn't made any big improvements. So he's obviously doing something in that training room, and maybe one day we'll see it. Hopefully, we saw Gon is doing a lot of grappling training. But sorry guys. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm sorry. I was getting a booger out of my nose. Shit, where'd I put my water at? What the hell? Damn, I think I left my water in the other room. Whatever. Anyways, Yusri just looked really good. I don't know how I turned this into a Pereira Glaze session. But yeah, Yusri just looked really fucking good. People are calling him Pereira 2.0 of the middleweight division. I would say he looked even better than Pereira did. He looked like a mix of Pereira and Adesanya. He had the power, but he had the quickness, the light-footedness of Adesanya. It was just a really good performance, and like I said, coming out party for Belguri. And I'm going to be very curious as to what he does next. So that was a good fight there. Then we got Larry and Douglas versus Julian Erosa. I don't know what kind of fucking matchmaking this was. I'm sorry. I thought Erosa was gonna win. I would be lying if I rated Larry and Douglas that high. I'll eat crow on that. I admit it. I just don't rate Cam Teague that high. I'm sorry, guys. I don't. Yeah, he knocked out Cam Teague. Okay. And you know what? I kind of feel the same way. Yeah, he knocked out Julian fucking Erosa. Who cares, right? That doesn't really mean anything. But regardless, it was a very good win. You know, people calling him Valeos Topuria 2.0, 3.0. How many Topuria 0.0s do we fucking have now? But regardless, he looked very, very good. And maybe I should be putting some more respect on fucking Cam Teague's name. Maybe I'm dissing for no reason. I know he had a pretty good bounce back win recently. But yeah, this was also another coming out party, kind of similar to Belguri, Larry and Douglas. Looking forward to see what he does in the future. 145 is getting interesting, but yeah, I still think it's too early. Erosa isn't really all that. The way his corner was praying, you can see it in the multi-view. The way Erosa's corner was praying, like right before the fight, they kind of knew he wasn't going to win. I kind of knew he wasn't going to win, especially after that moment. But I picked him. I picked him. Uh, so I got that one wrong. But all of these, as you can see, all ended KO TKOs up to this point. Very good card. The crowd was going crazy. And the craziest thing is, it's not even the knockout, and then the knockout of the card that everybody's talking about. But up next, we got hometown hero, the retirement guy, Michael Chiesa, going up against the other retirement guy, not the hometown hero, Nico Price, which we'll get to that on how the UFC kind of did him dirty, but I also like understand. So Michael Chiesa, he was set to win this, and you know what? I truly do think there is something to the theory that Nico Price is like being paid for these easy fucking retirement fights for his Lawler than Chiesa, especially back to back. Anyways, Chiesa goes out there. He gets Price down and fucking chokes his ass out real quick. Good win. Yeah. They play this beautiful package for Chiesa, everything like that. And I saw a lot of people questioning how the hell did Chiesa get a retirement send off like that and other fighters didn't, like Stipe, things like that. Well, to be fair to the UFC, Chiesa made it clear he was gonna like very clear he was gonna retire well before this. And another thing too, he's their Paramount guy. He's their desk guy. They're not gonna make him look like shit and send him off like some chump. They're gonna have to obviously gas him up a little bit. Like he's gonna be the representing the UFC on CBS at the White House, probably on the desk or stuff like that. They're gonna have to, say Hall of Famer Michael Chiesa, commentator, things like that. There's only so many fucking Daniel Cormiers out there. So many legendary fighters that still have their wits about them. Like I love Dustin Poirier, but I'm not a fan of him on the desk. It sounds like he's struggling to get something out all the time, and it just bugs me. And Chiesa is not bad on it. He's well spoken. So, not to mention he didn't sue the shit out of the UFC when he got his face cut up by the glass from the Conor McGregor Dolly incident. And clearly, they're hooking him up for that, as they should. People like to say the UFC do people dirty. They remember Michael Chiesa's sacrifice there. So, same with Anthony Smith for not taking John Jones's belt when he got kneed. They treat these guys well for that. But the big controversial thing, even beyond, Chiesa's big ordeal that they made for his retirement, is that Nico Price also retired. He hung around the cage for Chiesa's entire thing, and they left him hanging. They left him dry, left him out to dry. DC walked out. They didn't give him an interview, nothing like that. And that left a lot of people pissed off because Nico Price is also a legend of the game. And if you really look at their records, Nico Price arguably had like a better career. I wish I had it pulled up. But Lawler, right? Sorry, my phone is ringing. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I understand what DC means. Like, you're not going to interview Nico Price with all he gets is an interview when Michael Chiesa got a whole package, Hall of Fame, all this shit. And, I get that. But they still did him a little dirty. Nico Price is also a veteran of the UFC. But at the same time, did Nico plan this retirement this whole time as well, or was this kind of a last second thing? If that's the case, then I don't know. They might bring him up to 185 to fucking retire Adesanya, we'll probably have Kamaru Usman versus Nico Price. I think that's a real reason why they didn't let him do his retirement. They still have one more bullet in that chamber, and that is going to be for Kamaru Usman's retirement or Colby Covington. That's a good shout by me. But anyways, let's move on to what is probably knockout of the fucking year up to this point. One of the craziest finishes. I'm not going to say craziest finish I've seen ever. That's just not true, I don't think. But definitely the craziest finish of the year. I'll for sure say that. I was like in shock when I watched it. Obviously, I'm talking about Alexa Grasso versus Macy Barber. I'm sure you guys have seen the clip by now. It's in the first round. They're striking. Alexa Grasso catches Macy Barber with a nice 1-2. It drops Barber. She does the splits. Before Barber can even realize what the hell happened, she gets hit with a cheeky little right shot by Grasso that completely puts her out. And then, like a millisecond later, Grasso jumps on her back and chokes the shit out of her. You see the blood rushing. out due to the pressure of the choke that Alexa got in. Um, Filthy fucking knockout. That goes without saying. I truly stand by what everyone's saying. It's not overhyped, in my opinion. It was batshit insane. And I honestly, yeah, the fact that it was a women's MMA fight, that does make it stand out more. That does kind of emphasize the knockout more. Um, Especially with a massive fan favorite like Fan Grosso, Alexa Grosso. Yeah, a lot of people like Alexa Grosso for a lot of different reasons, ranging from her skill to other stuff. The fact that she was able to pull off a finish like that against a rising contender like Macy Barber, oh my gosh, you already know the UFC was licking their fucking chops to the sight of that. We know the UFC has been trying to break into the Mexican market for a long time, and they already kind of have. But they're looking for that star, and it was Moreno for a while. But time and time again, Alexa Grasso is showing herself to be the Mexican star that the UFC has been looking for this whole time. She's well liked over there, and clearly she is showing that she has that violent spirit that that community expects out of their fighters. But seriously, that knockout was fucking crazy. The way Macy Barber uh, fucking flattened out after that fight on her back was scary. I would say the scariest thing, in my opinion, was when she went for the takedown against the ref still. That's never a good sign when they're still trying to continue the fight. Um, but it was the fact that she did that before going out cold and laying down that kind of made it concerning. UFC just announced on Instagram Callum Walsh is fighting Moicano this weekend. Alex Alberto G644. Have you seen the date, man? There's no shot that's happening. Um, it is April 1st. So, as crazy as that would be for King Callum Walsh to step in and fight against Moicano, um, yeah, I don't believe that for a second. But he might be able to do it. I don't know. Moicano's low key washed now, but you know what? Honestly, I would still rank him above a debuting King Callum Walsh. But that's 100% an April Fool's joke. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Um, but yeah, I mean, this knockout was just fucking crazy. I know people were saying Macy Barber was faking it. Um, I don't think so. I think that's a little batshit insane to say, unless you've been knocked out and then had your brain robbed of oxygen as you're trying to recuperate from a knockout. Um, you don't get to speak on those things, and I hope I never find out what that feels like. Uh, and she should take some time off because again, that was scary. Even if she was only out for like a minute, even if she was only out for a minute on the ground, and the fans are right, she did wake up and was just kind of laying there in shock, and she was fine. That is still scary, and just after getting thrashed like that, you need to take time off. And yeah, once again, Alexa Grasso fucking winning. She murdered Macy Barber. It looks like a crime scene. And yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to watch a rematch Shevchenko again. I, I don't really know what's next for Alexa Grasso, to be honest. She's kind of in a weird situation, but the fact that she had a performance like this after her loss to Natalia Silva, she can say that, oh, I was injured, this and that. She may have a true case to get back to that belt. Footwork, I mean, footwork. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. This is just it, it was murder. It felt like televised murder. It was just a rough watch. But again, this whole card, all these finishes, but this one, in my opinion, was a cherry. Really, if you're just looking for violence, this delivered that, and it was just a grim reminder of what the fuck we're watching, and that we're all sick individuals that that take joy out of this. Macy Barber's his quality of life will probably be a little bit different than how it was prior to this. But let's go to the main event. Enough about me glazing that. We all know how vicious of a knockout it was. You don't need me to explain it to you. We got Israel Adesanya versus Joe fucking Pyfer. This fight went exactly how I thought it would. Now I did think Adesanya was gonna. I thought Adesanya was gonna get TKO'd, but I did think he was gonna get like kind of like the Imavov fight. Um, but I would say this one was worse, man. This one was worse. Adesanya lost all the rounds, in my opinion. Um, but he was looking good. He was putting something together. The leg kicks were giving Joe Pyfer a lot of problems. And it seemed as if had he stayed at range, he had it in the bag. Pyfer seemed to be fading, especially from those leg kicks. Now, a lot of people are saying Adesanya just fucking said he said fuck it and he went to swing and bang in the middle. Maybe I don't think that's necessarily the case. I do think that he just. I mean, I don't know because that is what it looked like. I don't know. I kind of said this in a tweet, and I guess it doesn't make too much sense, but I want to explain. I feel like he mentally peaked during the Pereira fight, his last victory, which is crazy to think about. Um, he's talked about it before, but he wants exciting fights, something to get him up, get him training, because he's accomplished a lot in this sport. Adesanya is pretty much peaked in terms of his career of how far he could go. He won one belt, he had a dominant reign, and he moved up and tried for another belt. It didn't work out. He went against another great champion, Jan Blachowicz, and now he's kind of here. And the bow on top, the cherry, the final boss was beating a longtime rival in Alex Pereira in an emphatic KO. The storyline on that, I mean, that's like WWE level storyline. It is really hard to top that. To go from fucking fighting Pereira to short notice Sean Strickland, even the DDP thing, like it was good for us, but a lot of that probably felt manufactured to him. And I think that was a key reason as to why we've been seeing Adesanya fight the way he fights. Obviously, age, mileage, and just time. Fighters getting more well-rounded, a little bit better, a little bit quicker. Adesanya getting a little bit slower. Things like a lot of footage on him. Obviously, all of that is working against him as well. But kind of as we saw in this Pyfer fight, yeah, he weirdly started putting himself into range and really trying to go for that finish. It almost seems like he's going for the clip farm, going for the highlights, the exciting moments. It's almost as if he saw the negative comments about him from a few years ago, where him being a point fighter and things like that. Um, it uh, it makes you wonder. Um, like I was saying, it just makes you wonder if he's seen that stuff, and if now after having the exciting career he's had, he's just trying to almost recreate moments. Pyfer was weird during the whole week. I hope he sets aside all the personal baggage and religious stuff and focus on promoting the fight next time. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. Pyfer was odd for sure. Normally he's a bit more loud for the buildup. That's what I was expecting. Um, but yeah, I mean, dare I say he was even weirder after the fight, right? I mean, I could talk about how Adesanya's washed, this and that. I don't want to see him retire or anything, but I would say the more interesting thing out of this whole card was Pyfer talking about blowing his brains out after cheating on his fucking girlfriend. I mean, that's some crazy shit. I'm not gonna lie. Um, that's like something your fucking dumbass buddy tells you after like 30 beers. Some stupid shit like from middle school. I mean, I gotta tell you, like when I first heard the suicide thing, I was like, oh man, that's fucked up. Like poor Joe Pyfer, you know, that's horrible. And nobody should feel that way. All that nobody should do that. And then then he mentioned something about lust issues, and I kind of, I kind of started thinking about. I was like, is he talking about what I think he's? Well, I guess I don't know, right? I don't know the context, but I was thinking, huh? But I guess I get that. It's one of the seven deadly sins, right? Lust. That makes sense. Um, but then he goes on and just straight up says, you can see him like contemplating to say, well, he doesn't say it, but like almost implied that he hurt the ones he loves, whatever, his girlfriend. And then the rumor has it, allegedly, right, that he cheated on his girlfriend, got caught, got put in the doghouse, and then almost killed himself because of it. Um, when I kind of found that out and read that narrative, I gotta say I kind of laughed a little bit because, like, I don't know, dude. That's just a little fun. Like really, bro. Like it kind of, not to downplay suicide or, men's mental health. That's real important and everything like that. And God forbid Piper does anything. But like that really take like really, bro, that takes away like any of the seriousness. Like when you say, like, oh my god, like dude's just trying to get out the dog. Like, are you for real? Like really? Um, I don't know. I almost want to laugh about it right now because like that's something you see in like high school toxic relationships. You don't really see that, out in the public forum like that, especially right, a UFC fighter or something like that. Like, oh, I got horny, I cheated on my girlfriend, and then I almost fucking killed myself after. I was so disgusted with myself, and like, I get, I mean, I don't get it, but you know what I mean? Yeah, the regret and all that, but it's like, dude, nobody forced you to fucking put your dick in somebody else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm sure the guilt, everything like that, but it's like, come on, bro. Like that, come on. Like, come on, dude. That's really all I gotta say about that. Like, come on, bro. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's so funny. I feel like the UFC wants Joe Pyfer to be a thing so bad, and he weirdly is becoming a thing. But like, it seems like he's making like the wrong step at every fucking opportunity, in spite of the UFC's effort. He's going down to UFC Mexico. He was like, "Yeah, I'm the American. I'm their guy, right?" To beat layup Kelvin Gastelum in his hometown. It would have been a beautiful victory for Pyfer. He could have became the heel, fucking pulled out, right? A valid reason. But that already started that negative narrative. I mean, well before that, be like Joe Pyfer, right? Body cam off Pyfer, Pyfer talking shit to Jeremy Stevens for whatever reason. Um, talking about the hair, even though he got the hair transplant. Um, it just seemed like everything he was doing was working against him. And finally, he was getting some sympathy. Finally, people were growing on him. This week, I feel like people are starting to properly respect him and everything like that. And he comes out and saying all this shit. And again, I don't want to downplay men's mental health or anything like that. That is very important, regardless of your reasoning, I guess. But like, just for all that to lead up to, lust issues and whatever the fuck. Like, okay, dude. Oh my god. Oh, I fuck too many bitches. I'm a UFC fighter. Like, okay, dude. Come on. Like, okay, bro. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I could just kind of sit here and laugh about it, like talk about it the whole time. Like, again, I know I keep repeating myself. Yeah, obviously it'd be horrible if he ever does something to himself, but um, I don't know, man. I don't know. It, it's just funny as hell. Like, what's that Sean Kingston song, right? Like they got him feeling suicidal. All these beautiful girls. That's pretty much Joe Pyfer right now. Uh, and then hopefully he gets his mind right. Yeah, I don't fucking know. He needs to do, what is it, no fap, chastity cage, something. I don't know, Joe Pyfer. Don't fucking kill yourself. Just keep your dick in your pants, man. That's all you got to do. But who knows? Maybe if I were Joe Pyfer, maybe if I were Joe Pyfer and the woman were piling on me, maybe I couldn't resist. I don't fucking know what. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, seriously, this card was really fucking good. Absolutely refreshing, much needed for all MMA fans across the board. I don't care how hardcore you are. Um, this card was a must watch, and it refreshed me, it revitalized me. It's gotten me excited. Um, it's gotten me excited to get back into, the UFC and MMA again. Um, and like I said, best card of the year so far. But unfortunately, we're following up this banger of a card with an absolute fucking stinker. Uh, I don't know how this came to be. I'm sure the UFC are like, fuck, because they're about to ruin all the momentum they had. But we got Renato Moicano versus, what is it? Chris Duncan. See, I'm getting the name wrong, man. Um, yeah, I mean, look at this co-main, man. I mean, I'm probably most excited for Ethan Ewing, the Professor Finessa. I would be lying if I wasn't a fan of him. Um, he's my goat, man. I liked what he did. He stepped up against the fucking iron worker. I can't, to this day, I can't believe people were glazing Malcolm Wellmaker the way he did. Um, just because, dude, the dude who was fucking bending iron bars in the factory like 3 months ago, he's a 135, 145er. He ain't fucking out. He's getting wrestle fucked. Okay. Aren't they expanding or upgrading the Apex in May? I believe so. Um, I know Dana kind of commented on it. He said somewhat recently that they were almost done. But I feel like now you can already kind of hear the crowd difference, and it's better. But they just nothing will beat like going to a casino venue or smaller venues like that because that'll sell out every time. Um, well, I guess I don't know about maybe not for this shit, but yeah, they were. I believe they are still expanding. I mean, we saw how it looked for Zuffa. It didn't look bad for Zuffa. Um, I do agree with Eddie Hearn though. It does look like fights in a garage, but if they could get a solid, crowd there, if they sell the if they sell the tickets for dirt cheap and get in like real fans that'll fucking cheer and go crazy in there, they could really make an environment out of that. But ultimately, that kind of speaks to a bigger issue of just fans being priced out, and that's kind of happening everywhere, to be honest. We just feel it first in MMA due to the nature of the sport and ticket availability. Um, but given enough time, that's going to happen to uh, NFL, MLB, NBA games, things like that. But hopefully the UFC travels around more and we get some cheaper fights. But yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, this card's kind of stinky. Uh, it ain't looking too hot. This dude looks fucking evil. Yeah, I mean, you already know cards gonna be a little mid when they got gray dudes like this. See, they didn't even take a picture of them with a colored camera. Uh, and we got Verna, Yonderoba, Raul Rosas Jr. in the fucking co-main. Uh, yeah, this ain't the best, man. This ain't the best. I mean, the actual matchups can end up pretty solid. It might end up one of those sneaky fight night cards. I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, any momentum you're gonna get is gonna fucking die out right here. Uh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of grappling, I guess, but a lot of people want to watch for one reason at least, but it might be counteracted. And we got Moicano versus Chris Duncan, fucking teammates going at it, and this is just a terrible idea to have two teammates main event, especially after MVP versus Sam Patterson, another set of teammates that recently fought and ended up with the snoozer of the year by far. I hope we don't get another one of those. It's not like Moicano is always known for banger fights, but Chris Duncan is pretty solid. I feel like he'll kind of perform for us there. But yeah, I mean, I got to be honest, this is just not a great card. So let's just kind of go ahead and get into my picks. I'm gonna kind of fly through these. I, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not really too tapped into this. I know, I kind of commented on my last video. I'm gonna start going over prelims, but come on, man, I can't with this one. They don't even got a fucking picture of her Dakota Hope. I'm not going over that. Baby Shark definitely getting some Callum Walsh promotion. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I I mean, I don't know. I feel like the UFC's been a little odd lately with kind of who they've been pushing and how they've been pushing. It just feels like they've been off the fucking mark. Um, yeah, there's not really much more to it than that. Uh, I mean, I understand with Callum Walsh, the slim pickings in the boxing world right now. That's just the closest guy they have to like a star, and the real one is coming up the pipeline. But at least for MMA, I feel like they've been kind of they've been missing more often than they've been hitting. When they do hit, obviously it's real big, I guess. But a lot of the stars lately have been naturally made. But anyways, we got Jose Delano. I don't remember him. Um, I'm trying to. I really want to think. Who did he fight anybody on Contender Series? I mean, I use these stats over here. I can't use Tapology. Okay, I think I remember this. I think I remember this. Yeah. Um, do I remember Robert Rucala? Yeah, yeah. Okay, I remember this guy actually. So yeah, this does seem like kind of like a specialized matchup for Jose Delano, a layup, dare I say. Uh, I would just guess Jose Delano's gonna win. I mean, that's usually how they've been doing these contender series guys, and it kind of sucks because it's easy to call once you take a look at the stats. But I feel like lately these contender series guys, you look at their debut, and if they're going against somebody against a loss, so they're probably gonna win. But Rukal is pretty solid. Um, it, it happens in MMA often where the more quote unquote experienced guy beats the debutant. But I mean, Delano's a more experienced guy. Rucala doesn't even have that in his favor. He looks evil though. He looks like a villain. So he probably has that nasty edge in him. He's gonna be a dog in there. But yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go with Jose Delano here. I usually lean towards contender series guys. Um, Now, the next guy we got Tony McMillan. People say he has the worst tattoos in the UFC. I mean, the world is yours. Yeah, those are pretty ass. Um, but I gotta say, weirdly enough, I saw a tweet say this. He's one of the better contender series prospects because he actually had a tough opponent. He didn't have a layup in his contender series fight. He had a tough grappler, and he went out there and fucking won the fight. Um, I think that showed that he's actually ready for the UFC level. Yeah, look at that, David Magoyan. I remember watching this. Sean O'Malley was in his corner cheering him on. McMillan showed he had the heart. He showed he had the guts. He had what it took to win in the octagon. But he's going to be against Manolo Zecchini. Um, Sorry, I that's really funny to me. I was thinking of the Book of Life recently, and Manolo. If you've seen that movie, shout out, you're a real one. Is that O'Malley? No, McMillan is O'Malley's boy, though. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's O'Malley's teammate. Um, I mean, that's the vibes I get with the tattoos and all that. It almost looks like a shitty copy of O'Malley, like somebody tried to be O'Malley. Um, but, to each their own. O'Malley was very successful, right? So who are we to kind of blame a teammate for trying to copy his success? Okay, so Manolo got beat up by Morgan Charrier, the last pirate, right? The pirate. Um, I don't remember this. This is in 2023, so no wonder I don't remember it. That's not surprising at all. Uh, yeah, Manolo's probably gonna get fucked up. But I don't know. The last time I was going off of inactivity to determine a winner, Yusri Belguri beat the shit out of Mansour Abdul Malik. So who knows? He could come in to beat the shit out of Tommy McMillan. He might have put a bunch of needles in his ass or whatever. But if his last fight was 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, he's probably not gonna win. Um, so that's easy to call for Tommy McMillan. If you predicted Zucchini, shut the fuck up. You know what? You don't know what. It's a shot in the dark here. This last fight was over 2 years ago. Okay, I don't want to hear. I don't want. Same. That's how I felt about the Belguri fight. Everybody was like, "Oh, it was obvious who was gonna win." You know what? I think his last fight before that was in 2024. All right, that inactivity is pretty crazy. It's hard to go for that. Up next, we got the GOAT, the Professor Finessa, Ethan Ewing, the safety inspector that stepped up and put down the tough blue collar iron worker for a peg as is his job. I like that little narrative he painted. Um, Going up against Rafael Estevam. This is gonna be a pretty good fight, actually. I feel like they want Estevam to kind of win this to a degree, but I don't think they'll be mad either way. I fuck with Ethan Ewing again. The name is kind of funny, the Professor Finessa. Uh, that's interesting in of itself, and I just love the storyline of when he went in to beat Wellmaker. I always had Wellmaker highly overrated. He was getting the push from the UFC. Absolutely Dana White privilege, as we like to say. Um, and I just knew he was like, I don't know. I knew he was never gonna be like top five, especially at 135 or 145. The dude was a fucking iron worker until like 32 years old or something like that. Like, Merab Davashvili is in the 135 division. Fucking Volkanovski's a good grappler. Mavzar Evlov is in the 145 division. Like, he would never get past a guy like that. Um, so when this guy, Ethan Ewing, the Professor Finesser, stepped in on short notice and gave him the work, um, with the gimmick. He's a safety guy at these blue collar sites, working with these blue collar guys. I thought that was good. I thought that was funny, and I'm always a sucker for short notice step ups. Uh, so I'm rooting for him here. However, just kind of looking at it, uh, what does he not have any reach recorded? What the hell? And that's why we use UFC fight stats, guys. Not matchup preview shit. But he's going against Estevam. Estevam's pretty solid. He's undefeated for a reason. Yeah, I will say. I mean, the Charles Johnson win is pretty good, but that was in 2023. I would say he was inactive, but I don't know why. I thought these were in 2024, but this was actually in 2025. I don't remember. I did think the Bonez fight was 2024, but I'm wrong. So this even kind of leans more towards Estevam. If he's gonna win, he's probably gonna make it pretty boring. He's gonna try to wrestle fuck the Professor Finessa. So we're gonna find out just how good the Professor Finesse's grappling is. Ethan Ewing. Yeah, see the Professor Finesser, man. I think he's, I gotta leave the Professor Finesser. I think he's gonna make it a mess. I think he's gonna be able to get off the ground. I think he's gonna be able to work, and I think he's gonna finesse Estevam into an easy victory. So I'm gonna have to go with Ethan Ewing, the Professor Finesser. I will always say that, the Professor Finesser. I'll get that shit tatted on my chest. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I'll never do that. But yeah, my picks so far, I got Delano, I got McMillan, and I got the Professor Finessa. So now we move up to Abdul Rahman Yakyaev versus Brenson Ribeiro. I gotta be honest, guys. I don't recognize either of these guys. I'm gonna have to look at stats. Call me casual. I'll take it for this, man. Okay, yeah, okay. I remember Abdul. That was 2025. That was recent. Now Ribeiro. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember him losing to Sai. I remember him getting knocked out by Sai. Yeah, I mean, this goes without saying. Like I was saying, it's kind of a stinky card in general. This is one of those they have to offer fighters 3 fights a year kind of cards. I know they're salty that the fight before this, the card before this, was really good, because all that momentum that they had is probably gonna get snuffed out here. I got Abdul. I mean, look at their fucking records. Ribeiro has fought arguably better competition, but I mean, he's just, he's kind of the unk. He's in here for the layup for the Abdul Rahman Yakyaev. What a name. But yeah, he looks Dagestani. I pick him. I agree. I mean, look at the name, man. He's got a 3 namer. He's probably pretty fucking good. Odds are. All right. Now we're into the illustrious co-main event. We got Verna, Raul Rosas Jr., Yonderoba versus Baby Shark Tabitha Richie. I feel like Yonderoba is gonna win. Honestly, she's probably just gonna wrestle fuck Tabitha this whole time. The whole time. I mean, I don't really see it going any other way. Tabitha could keep her off of her and keep it on the feet. Maybe she could be able to out grapple her too. But honestly, I think Yonderoba is just really efficient at that, and it's probably what she's gonna try to do. I don't remember who Yonderoba lost to last time. Was it I had her winning, but Mackenzie Dern, yeah, duh. Damn, how did I forget about that? I literally, that's crazy. I forgot she was on the title fight last. Holy shit, that's fucked up, man. Damn. Yeah, honestly, I was like surprised Yonderoba lost this fight. I remember thinking it was kind of a fluke when she did. Yonderoba was probably gonna beat Tabitha. Now Tabitha's been looking good. She outstruck Rebos by 4, and finished her. You're right. She did look very good there. But the Yan Xiao Nin fight really sticks with me. She got fucking worked by Yan, like bad. She really got worked. And I know that was 2024, but like fighting once a year isn't gonna make you any better. Yonderoba, she's just been here and she's been that lady for a long time. She's probably going to go in there and really put the work on Tabitha. Similar to how Jan did. Maybe not similar to how Jan did, but in terms of dominance, it'll be identical. So, yeah, I got Jan here. Jan Daroba. Again, I mean, you know, you look at these two. Who do you think is going to win in a cage fight? Right. The eye test kind of tells you everything you need to know here. But yeah, Jan Daroba. She's just been more active and just better against better competition, more consistently better against better competition. So now we got the main event. We got Renato Moicano versus Chris Duncan, teammates. I mean, there's a lot of talk online. Is this the worst card of the year? Ever, maybe. Some people are saying that this is the worst card they've ever seen as an MMA fan. And maybe. Not card, main event, I should say. Moicano versus Chris Duncan, that ain't that good. That's pretty ass. I mean, yeah, I don't really have much to say about it. They are teammates. I'm just a little worried this fight's gonna be boring as hell. It might be that neither guy might be really thirsty for blood like they should be. They're teammates. And, I referred to it earlier, but we had MVP versus Sam Patterson. They were teammates, and that fight turned out to be a dud. It makes you wonder about this one, right? How good will this one be? How good can it be? So let's go take a look at Chris Duncan's most recent fights. I know he's been going through some crazy, yeah. I know he had a decision against Rebecca, but that was a bloody fucking crazy war. And of course, he had all his submissions prior to that. And yeah, he's been a very exciting fighter, very active, 3 times in 2025. All of them. I keep forgetting the Rebecca one wasn't a finish, but it was just such a good fucking fight. It might as well have been. I mean, he lost years off his life on that one. He's gonna be going up against the legend Renato Money Moicano. Moicano could have a bounce back fight here. Who knows? But just going off of their records and honestly kind of fight style, I would think Chris Duncan should have it in the bag. I don't think Moicano really has the chin or like fast twitch muscle fibers to even like handle himself well in a crazy fucking blitz and stand in the middle moments, quick inside boxing moments. I just don't think he'll be able to compete with a Chris Duncan when it comes to something like that. That if Chris Duncan really wanted, he'll kind of blitz and get Moicano out of there. So I think Chris Duncan is kind of aware of that too, and I think he's going to come out and try to get a really quick finish. If that doesn't work out, I do think the fight will get in Moicano's favor as it goes on, just because Chris Duncan, he has shown he could last out a nasty, brutal fight. He showed that really well against Rebecca, but Rebecca is on the level of Moicano in terms of like strategic fighting. If it's not going to be like a bloody swing and bang war for Chris Duncan, it won't be that simple. It'll be more of a pick and choose your strikes kind of thing. So, that being said, I'm still going to go with Chris Duncan here. I just think that he has the momentum. If he really wants to push the pace, he'll really go in there and fuck Moicano up. He'll just kind of blitz him, and Moicano won't be able to handle the striking flurry. He could be able to get Duncan down and survive off of there. We'll really find out about Duncan's defensive grappling. But like that's kind of crazy to say when he has all the submissions that he does have. So I think it's safe to say Chris Duncan here, although we don't know what's been happening in this training room between these two guys for the last few years. There might be psychological blocks there. Moicano might just have Duncan's number. We don't know, but if it doesn't end in a first round KO, it's going to be a very boring fight. That's kind of my prediction. But I'm an error on the side of optimism. I'm going to go with Chris Duncan here, and I think he's going to win via first round TKO. I just think he's going to be a bit too much for for Moicano. I think he's gonna be like a bull getting released into the rodeo, and he's gonna just kind of buck at Moicano and really hurt him and get him out of there. Um, so yeah, those are my picks for what is it, UFC Fight Night? What is it? Fight Night what? Moicano versus Duncan. Usually there's a number, right? UFC Vegas something. Um, but yeah, oh, my alarm's going off again. Sorry. But yeah, those are my picks. I'll go over them really quick. I got Delano here. I got McMillan, O'Malley 2.0. I got the Professor Finessa, Ethan Ewing. I got Abdul Rockbon. Got Verna Yonderoba. And then I got Chris Duncan. It looks like all the people on the left except for Chris Duncan here. Ooh, echo. Sorry about that. One more thing I would like to go over, an interesting headline this week. We got MoistCritikal versus Dana White. I think that's pretty interesting. I don't know how the fuck that happened. But yeah, it kind of goes to show what I've been saying. MMA is slowly growing. Not what I've been saying, what everybody's been saying. MMA is a growing sport. It's getting bigger and bigger. And I do think overall the Paramount deal this year will almost be like a renaissance year for MMA. I think we're going to see new creators step into the scene. Maybe me, other guys, and we're just going to see mainstream. We're going to see mainstream engagement interactions that we haven't seen in a long time. A good example of that was Brian Ortega and Mackenzie Dern at the Golden Globes, and it was awkward as hell or whatever. That was the start of it. We saw Survivor crossover on UFC, which I'm missing Survivor right now, actually, but that's okay. But yeah, MoistCritikal came out and he just pretty much talked shit on Dana White. Now, if you're an MMA fan, which all of you are, you didn't learn anything new from this. We know the kind of guy Dana White is, right? But I gotta say, just my own 2 cents here. I've been getting a little frustrated with the response. Who gives a shit? Like, I don't really care about the AI thing or whatever. The thing I do care about is if you're gonna use it, at least make it good. The logo looked pretty shit. That looked like something I can make. That I see on, Facebook fucking, 3D print business logos, shit like that. But like it just feels like that. Again, just going to the narrative that Dana White, he's tapped out. He doesn't care as much anymore. There was once a time where Dana White would be fired up and give witty responses, leaving the reporters genuinely speechless. But now it's just kind of crazy. It's like they don't want to argue with him, or he just refuses to engage unless he knows it's a slam dunk for him. Who gives a shit? Like, right. It's just such a frustrating response to hear. And I'm like a UFC Glazer, guys. I'm not a Dana White hater by any means. I like it when he's around the sport. But it is just a little frustrating and just obnoxious. Maybe that's the word, to constantly hear that. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fucking shit? Like the John Jones negotiation thing. That's an interesting story. That's the GOAT of the sport saying that you're lying, that you did negotiate with him, that you did offer him millions. That's a little interesting. And to hear him brush off, an interesting story like that, again, the Michael Jordan of the sport, per Dana White and all that, saying that you are lying about how much you offered him in the negotiations. That's an interesting story regardless of the sport. Change the people and change the sport. It's an interesting position. So to answer that with who gives a shit, it's just a little tone deaf and whatever. And again, I'm not a Dana hater by any means. I like Dana White. I don't think he's that bad or whatever. Well, as certain things, but that does almost get, I don't want to say exhausting, because it's not a big deal at the end of the day. He is right. Like, I am just kind of here for the fights. But it is interesting, and it does seem like with the whole Eddie Hearn thing and stuff that more people are going to come out and speak out against him. Now, will it have any effect on anything? Probably not. Of course not. He's runs a successful business. A guy MoistCritikal. I hope he gets asked about it. He'll probably be, who the fuck is that? as big as MoistCritikal is, that's not going to change anything. Yeah. But I just found this really interesting. You know, MoistCritikal is a big YouTuber. So we're going to see where this goes. We're going to see if this even goes anywhere. If he's going to continue to cover MMA, that'd be pretty interesting. A new character, a new content creator into the sport that does content like this, that does sit and talk to the camera content, not like a Neon, Aiden Ross, or guys like that. Um, he would be a fresh face to this industry. So I'm curious to see if this will go anywhere. It's probably going to be a nothing burger. Like I said, MoistCritikal didn't say anything we didn't already know. We know the kind of brash guy Dana is, and we know he runs his business the way he's going to run it. And he will vehemently push back to anything otherwise, especially if it's from the media or fans. So I don't really expect this to influence Dana at all, but who knows? Maybe Dana will retort back in a viral clip and we'll get a whole little back and forth there. Eddie Hernick's MoistCritikal collab. I don't fucking know. But yeah, let me go ahead and check Twitter really quick. I always do this at the end of each show just to see if I missed any breaking news. I don't believe I did. If that's the case and I didn't miss any breaking news, then we'll probably be yeah, you're right. There's a DC Nate Diaz beef. I don't really care for it either way. I mean, both of them are kind of CTE riddled, one more than the other. It just seems like they're both bitter, actually, weirdly enough. DC doesn't like the Diaz bros. He's very staunch about Hall of Fame and who should be considered legends or not. He's very merit based. Whereas Nate Diaz, you know, he's Nate Diaz. He thinks DC's a pussy, as he said. So these two will never get along. I don't really care for it, but let's see. Any breaking news? Anything like that? No. Sarukian versus Uriah Faber. What the fuck? Okay, I'm assuming that's an April Fool's joke. Yeah, it doesn't look like we have any breaking news. Fight is no April Fools again. Okay, let me get the fuck off Twitter, guys, because I'm falling for all these April Fools jokes. Before I confuse somebody. That is going to be it for the show today, guys. Another short and sweet one. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't have too much to talk about this week. There isn't too many crazy news. You know, it's a kind of a dead week when I'm talking about fucking MoistCritikal, calling out Dana White. But thanks for tuning in as always, guys. We're a small channel here, so every interaction, every view, even if you give me just a second of your time, that goes a very, very long way for me, and I am truly grateful. I am truly appreciative of all of you. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe. As you can see down below, I am doing a little giveaway thing at 100 subs. So, you know, if you like MMA content and you're free on Wednesday nights, go ahead and subscribe and tune in. You never know, you might end up winning $100 by the end of the year. You know, risk reward there is it's kind of a gimme right there, but I won't tell you what to do with your clicks. Like, share with your friends. Like I said, real small channel, so anytime you do any of that, it goes such a long way for me. And yeah, let me know, what did you think of my picks? What did you think of UFC Seattle? Was that the bump that the UFC needed? Was that the card, the refresher that the UFC needed? How bad is this Moicano Duncan card gonna ruin any momentum that they just got from this last Seattle card? Is Israel Adesanya done? Even though we know he's not going to retire, do you think he's ever going to win again? I don't know. I don't know. You think Dana White's going to call out MoistCritikal in a response? Who knows? We'll see. I'll be back next Wednesday, 7 p.m. every week, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure to tune in and follow me over on Twitter at OpenMatShowLIve. I'm a lot more responsive over there. I live tweet to any live news and anything like that. Holy shit. Live news and anything like that. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. I love talking about the sport, and I love that even a few of you are willing to sit here and watch me do that. So I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one. Goodbye.